Welcome to the Check Swing podcast with myself and with my man Miguel Santo over there, who no longer puts up a nickname, but he's always decked out in some Phillies gear for
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get ready
And,
for the Phillies miss this weekend.
and every weekend, every Wednesday, because we do the show on Wednesday, every Wednesday, we see each other before the show. And that's not what you're wearing. You're wearing something. We just got off the golf course, actually. We were just playing golf together. And you were wearing something totally different. Now you're decked out in Phillies gear.
That's it.
I'm jealous because now I'm still in the same clothes, and even when we're at practice, I'm still in the same clothes. But you always look show ready, and I always look like I'm ready to go to the gym.
Or you came from the gym.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, but you know what though? I guess mentally I prepare. So I had this out sitting on the chair like 8 o'clock the morning of the show. So I always have like myself, my stuff ready.
I got you. As I'm watching, I'm an Olympic super fan, and I'm watching the 4x1.
Hold on, are you legally allowed to announce what's going on in the Olympics?
I don't know, but as long as I don't show it, I think we're kind of safe. Where's the USA? Okay, there they are right there. But great. Oh, Lord. Oh my goodness, this is a race, boy. But this is just the first round, but good Lord. And here comes Jamaica. Woo, my goodness. If the first round has any inkling of what the final is going to be, oh my Lord. Jeez.
You gotta be careful. You're gonna make people turn us off and go.
Well, it's over now. You missed it. Matter of fact, if you try to turn your TV on, you were behind because I'm watching it on internet. Anyway, welcome to the Check Swing podcast. We are your hosts. I am Justin S. Miguel, also known as Santa, and we have some things that we're going to talk about for the next 30 minutes or so, and it always ends up being an hour, but we want to talk about for the next 30 minutes or so, and we would love to hear your comments on some of the things that we're talking about, hear what you have to say, and we really want to know how you feel about some of the things that's going on. But like I always like to start off all the shows, Miguel, I'm gonna start it off this way. How you been, man?
I've been well, man. Starting a new job. People are great. The job is pretty good. Good vibes, good times. Developing new habits. Changing old ways, creating new ways, all that good stuff.
Well, absolutely. Congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
Proud of you. I'm happy for you.
Appreciate it.
I can't wait for you to excel to the point that you run this stuff and you say, you need to come work for me.
There you go. Laying out the work, man. Laying out the work.
Absolutely. But the Olympics are still going on as in the last few shows we've done. The Olympics have been going on. And I guess the story of the entire Olympics has been Simone Biles. The whole situation where Simone Biles decided to not compete in the Olympics for mental health reasons. And it comes off the heels of Naomi Osaka not competing in the French Open and the Wimbledon, which we discussed a little bit last week, due to mental health reasons, just to take care of her own mental health. Also, here in Philadelphia, you have some football players on the Eagles dealing with some mental health issues, and they were asked about it. And even as recent as today, Noah Lyles, the American sprinter over in the Olympics, he's in Japan right now, also dealing with mental health issues, as he disclosed on Twitter that he takes antidepressants. Tyra says she had the twisties, and that's what they call it. They said she had the twisties, and the twisties are when you really, I can't do all the flipping and twisting and turning that she does, but when you're doing all that flipping, twisting, and turning, you kind of lose track of where you are, lose track of the ground and stuff like that. That's what they call. That's actually the first time I even heard that term, but it's obviously a term that is in the gymnastic circles of which I'm not part of. So Miguel, when you heard this news about Simone Biles, and she did end up competing in the balance beam, in the individual, but when you heard this news about Simone Biles, what was your initial reaction to it?
Well, I mean, because the way it was reported initially, it was like, oh, well, she's with the medical staff, and I'm like, all right, she pulled the quad, she tore something like that. But then when I heard about the mental health, I was like, okay, I was mixed on it at first, you know what I mean? And I think the first thing I thought of is like, man, she's going to get attacked. And I think there was a what's that stupid Brit's name? Piers Morgan, right?
Who always
said
has something to say about America.
Always got something to say, and he wrote a thing for whatever news company he writes for. He says, "Sorry, Simone Biles, but there's nothing heroic or brave about quitting because you're not having quote unquote fun. You let down your teammates, your fans, and your country." And I think if this were 2 or 3 Olympics ago, I think the majority of people would have probably agreed with Piers Morgan. But I think now, because we know more about mental health and we know more about, we have a better understanding of it, and we have, more respect for it. I think, the support's going to be greater. But I knew that she would get attacked, pretty quickly and pretty unfairly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I myself had mixed reactions to it because, like I said last week on the show, I have the fear that with people that have what are presumed to be legit mental health issues, it's going to become the excuse for people that may not have the mental health issues, but they know that they can say that and people will let it slide, right? So that's my fear. I hope people wouldn't do that, but that's my fear. It's my fear that somebody has a bad game in the NBA and they blame it on mental health. And we really don't have a leg to stand on to say he's lying or she's lying. Like, we don't know. We can't tell.
Right. But then you're going to get the other people that say, well, wait a minute, I pay $380 for this ticket. You need to have your mental health straight with all the money that you make. So that's going to be like the backlash of it. Like, you make all this money, you could pay for the mental health training. You can, have all the support that you need, more so than I can. I got to go through insurance and get, waivers and, requests from doctors and stuff. Like, I got to go through loopholes just to see a specialist, but you can just pay them out of pocket. So there's that whole, feedback, that negative feedback that you're going to get from fans from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I myself probably had somewhat of a chauvinistic reaction because there were a lot of thoughts that I had with Simone Biles, the situation with Simone Biles. And I think one of the biggest, I guess, factors that worked against her with the public was the timing of when she decided she was not going to compete. And I know people would say, well, how can you bow out for mental health issues if you don't know what you're doing? Like, she bowed out after she had a bad, I don't know what it's called in gymnastics, I'm sorry, but a bad, it was her turn to go and she had a bad go, right? She had a bad landing and she just didn't do well.
It was the horse, I think. It's called something else, but
it was the pommel. It was the one where they run, the one that Kerry Strug broke her leg on back.
Yeah,
the
horse thingy. What
the pommel horse or something? I know the men do the pommel horse, but I don't know if it's the same name for the women. But anyway, y'all know what we're talking about. They run up to it, they hit the trampoline, hit the horse, do some flips, land, boom, and there you go. She didn't stick her landing. And then it comes out after that she was not going to compete anymore. And like you said, we thought it was due to injury, and they even reported that there was an injury. But like as we all know now, that it wasn't really an injury. It was a mental health issue. She didn't say there was an injury. It was just reported that way. Excuse me. With that being said, let's take it to Naomi Osaka. We'll come back to Simone Biles. Naomi Osaka, she withdrew from the Wimbledon tournament. She withdrew from the French Open tournament, citing mental health. She wanted to protect her mental health. She didn't say there were mental health issues. She wanted to protect her mental health because she, from what I understand, she didn't like how the media was approaching her with certain things. Now let's remember something when it comes to Naomi Osaka. A few years back, Naomi Osaka defeated Serena Williams in the U.S. Open. I believe it was the U.S. I don't remember if it's U.S. or Australian, but I think it was the U.S. Open, which is played in New York. And she got booed for it, right? And this was the same match where Serena Williams had an issue with the chair, with the judge in the chair. And then she got booed for it. She was crying, and Serena Williams had to console her and told her, she did her thing, she earned it, and all like that. But when you win a major in that fashion, and you beat your idol, and then you're getting ripped apart by the crowd, that can take a toll on you mentally. It has to. Like you just accomplished this great achievement in your career, a goal, and you're being ripped apart by the crowd, the New York crowd at that. I can understand how that can take a toll on you. Now, I would like your reaction to what you thought about Naomi Osaka. I can say her name, Naomi Osaka, when she decided to pull. Now, she did compete in the Olympics, and she lost early in the tournament. But right. What was your reaction with Naomi Osaka?
Well, I think it's a little different because, like you said, this happened over the course of time. You know what I mean? And so she's been dealing with a lot since since she defeated Serena. So I think, it's a little bit different because prior to the Olympics, like with Simone, there was no inkling that anything was amiss. There was no inkling that anything was wrong. Although they started kind of talking about, like, even before she had her first event, how there were, she wasn't really too, sticking the landing in the warm up. She seemed to be kind of off. So there was like that kind of chatter. But like with Osaka, you saw this, over time, and she had that big press conference, I think was it last summer when she bowed out, and then, and she got all the great feedback and stuff like that. So it's something that's been kind of ongoing. So I kind of, I don't judge it the same way as, I would with Simone.
Yeah, I think it was a little different because slightly different because in that situation, she said she wanted to protect her mental health.
Right.
Where it seemed like she knew something was bothering her, and she decided to remove herself from the situation before it got worse,
right,
or before it became a problem. Mm-hmm. I applaud her for that because she is the highest paid tennis player, I believe, female tennis player, but it could be the highest paid tennis player, period, in the world. She's an icon. She's a global icon. She's an icon in the tennis world. She lit the torch for this year's Olympics. She was the torch lighter. And that's a great honor. I mean, when you think about the torch lighters, I think about actually, I only think about one other person was Muhammad Ali. Yeah. I can't really think of some of the other the torch lighters in the other Olympics, but this was like the only time that I can remember outside of Muhammad Ali who the torch lighter was, because it's always somebody that's important to the country that's hosting the games. Some would question, though, if you were protecting your mental health with the French Open in Wimbledon, what would make the Olympics so different? And for me, I would say you're representing your country. You're representing so much more than yourself, right, in the Olympics. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think and it depends on the sport. Because I think I kind of said this, like even with like basketball. With basketball, I guess it's kind of different because it's so easy, or it's been so easy for the U.S. To win and whatnot. But there's a certain extra level of pride when you represent your country, that you try to fight even harder to overcome any type of physical illness, let alone any mental illness. So I think there was definitely that extra pride to try to get back on the saddle after bailing out in those couple of events.
Yeah, and another thing, another factor that goes into it for me, or another thought that goes into it for me is, you and I came up in there. We're the same age. We came up in the era where it was you play through it.
Yep.
The only time you do the only thing you don't play through is injury. You play through being hurt. You play through whatever might be going on. You don't come off the field. You don't come out off the court. You don't come off, or whatever the case may be, unless you're injured. And I think a lot of the criticism comes from people that came up in our era and before us, because we might have been the end of that era. I don't know. I mean, even when you and I coach, it's like I can remember us saying to "Are you hurt or are you injured?"
Right.
Of course, any athlete doesn't want to come off the field, off the court, whatever, off the mat, whatever. Mm. But I'm wondering if as coaches, are we, being from the era that we come from, do we put too much pressure on our athletes for stuff like that?
Well, yes and no. I think there's so much more exterior noise, because even with like when I was coaching the 11U team, I remember being in a group huddle. I was, talking to the pitcher in a game, and I remember like a couple of the guys were like kind of like breathing heavy, and they started crying, and I'm like, what's going on?
Like all at the same time?
All at the same time, yeah.
Oh wow.
And they were like, my mom's always yelling at me, my dad's doing this, and we're talking about this like on the pitchers, man. I'm just trying to, like, dude, like the bases are loaded and one out. I'm trying to get a force play going. But I think there's so much exterior noise, because for children, especially the younger children, I'm noticing it just seems like there's more pressure on them when they leave. Leave the field, leave the arena or whatever. It just seems like there's more, pressure to please their parents, or pressure to be successful at such an early age. You know what I mean? And it's such a difference. It's like night and day between the teams that we recently coached, the 15U team, where our team seemed more relaxed, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that was more like, the parents kind of being laid back, or just our coaching style, or just everything kind of meshing together. But I just think like there's just a lot, I don't want to say that I blame analytics for some of this, but
I hope there's not analytics in 11-year-old baseball. I really hope that doesn't come.
Here's what I'll say: there shouldn't be, but I did have a couple of parents say, "Hey, HitTrax says his exit velo." I'm like, whoa! I don't need no HitTrax data for an 11-year-old. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just think there's so much noise, there's so much social media, there's so much data, there's so much like to prove and to unprove that it's just a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? So that's why like I kind of going back to like, all right, well, back in my day, you fight through it. But when I'm thinking like with Simone Biles, what she's going through, everywhere she looks, everywhere she goes, there was a point where. You remember that whole sequence when she did poorly when she landed. The camera was following her to the bench, and then the camera's following her getting dressed, and then the camera was following her to the conversation with the medical staff. The camera was following her all the way to the medical tent and back. So to have that constant eye following you everywhere, and then on top of that, you go back to your hotel room and you're on your social media with your 2 to 3 million fans, and they're like talking about it while you're watching, you know what I mean? That's enough to break that's enough to
Yeah.
break a person. If this were like 1984, I mean, there was rotary phones, there was dial phones. Like you can literally be blocked out from the world for 2 weeks and not know what the hell has happened and be okay.
Yeah,
But,
oh, go ahead.
No. Just but to have that constant literal eye on you, on television, on social media, and then hearing the feedback, positive and negative, I don't even know how she made it through those events, let alone,
Yeah, you bring up a good point because social media has opened up the world has brought the world together, has brought the world closer to people that they couldn't get close to in the past. I can remember people that you don't like. I mean, especially if they don't like you, they'll definitely say something. But case in point, and this doesn't have that doesn't have much to do with what we're talking about. But I have a friend that is he's a comedian and he's a writer for sitcoms and stuff like that. And he was invited to do a commencement speech, and I think the speech was on YouTube or something like that. And somebody left a comment, something along the line. This is worthless N-word stuff. He was nothing but a decent high school basketball player. Which he was in high school in the early to late 80s, right? Mm. So this has to be somebody. And when I saw it, I was like, this must be somebody he dunked on. You know what I mean? But I'll bring that up because this troll now has a platform to be heard. Simone Biles is on social media. I believe I follow her, but I've definitely seen some of her posts on social media. She has posts with her boyfriend that plays for the Houston Texans, the football team. And people can now you've opened up your relationship to the world. People can comment on your relationship, on what you look like. And when you're a public figure, when you are considered the greatest of all times, like she is in her sport, you're going to have fans and you're going to have haters. And I commend these professional athletes, these days, because they have to deal with stuff that guys like Michael Jordan never had to deal with. Guys like Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain. Well, Shaquille O'Neal probably in the later part of his career, but Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, who else? Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. They didn't have to deal with this type of stuff, and it brings a whole nother realm of pressure, especially if you're one that reads your comments. I can remember like the worst thing that could happen with a professional athlete is they read something in the paper that a reporter said, or they heard something on the radio that a reporter said or a caller said. Now, I mean, they're posting stuff and they read their comments. One of the worst things you can probably do as an entertainer, as an athlete, or whatever, as a public figure on social media is read the comments, good or bad.
Dude. So she posts. So I'm on her social media, right? So she posted the Olympic Village, the Olympics. 23 hours ago, she posted this. She got 15,000 comments. The day before that, she had 6,500 comments. The day before that, she had 17,000 comments. So in the span of 4 days, that's almost like 45,000 comments on the things that you posted. Majority of, I mean, like the first, I like kind of peeked at like the first 5 or 6 comments were generally positive. But if you like 10% of the comments, you're still going to get a couple thousand that are like, you're worthless, you're a quitter, and that's what really stings. That's what really gets into your mind, into your heart, into your soul, is those negative comments, not the positive ones.
Right. For whatever reason, us as humans tend to focus on the negative stuff that's coming our way as opposed to the positive stuff that is coming our way. I don't know why that is. Maybe that's because maybe growing up, I know a lot of times growing up, your parents are proud of you, and they may brag about something that you accomplished or something that you did, and in your mind you're like, okay, that's mom saying it. You know, that's my teacher saying it. They're supposed to say that type of stuff. But then when somebody says something negative about the same thing,
right,
you tend to listen to that a little more because that's not somebody that you feel is supposed to say that stuff.
right.
That's somebody that is like that either doesn't know you or sees it from a different angle, doesn't necessarily care about you, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But you know, like I said, one person in particular with this whole mental health issue that I think about, and nobody has ever come out and said that he's having mental health issues. Ben Simmons, you know, the point guard, point forward, whatever, for the Philadelphia 76ers, had a terrible series in the playoffs this year. And I mean, Facebook or whatever, social media, the radio, especially here in Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
the ESPYs, they joked on him in the ESPYs. Did you see that, Miguel? Did you see what they did?
Yes.
Now,
and I
know they joke on people, but it was I thought it was a little. I thought they took it a little too. I thought that was wrong.
You know what? It's well deserved. He earned it. He absolutely earned. Not. Here's my thing. It's one thing when you suck, okay, or you have a bad series. I suck. I'm not gonna, you know. But it's one thing if you're having a bad series. It's another thing when you try to give it back to the fans that boo. Like every Philly athlete that tries to give it back to the fans never ends well. It never historically has ended well either for the person or the organization. But it's almost like, well, because he came at that one reporter is like, well, you never played basketball, you don't know, what it is to do, what I do and things like that. It's like, but we know that you're open, a good portion of the time, and you still don't take the damn shot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I think that's why I say if he didn't take the shot and he's like, yeah, I'm just going through things, in my mind, I'm just not there mentally. I think people would be like, all right. You know what I mean? But when you're just a plain jerk about it and you're saying, well, I'm going to be me. I don't care what anybody else says. So forget y'all. And, you're not a basketball player. You're in the seats watching me, blah, 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 blah. You deserve it. I'm sorry. You've earned it. You've absolutely earned it.
See, so I disagree with you to a point, right? Did he earn that? Well, I'm sure he earned some type of get back, right? I mean, so let's put it this way: when a reporter, especially here in Philadelphia, because reporters in Philadelphia, they get the story. They want to get the story. They ask the questions the fans want to know about. I don't know about other cities like New York. It's like that, but if you're in like Milwaukee, come on. If you're in Kansas City, case in point, when Andy Reid first went to Kansas City. The first thing out of the reporter's mouth during this press conference was "Welcome to Kansas City." You're not going to get that in Philadelphia. Like you're not going to be welcome. You're going to be asked the question. But anyway, so I don't have a problem with an athlete clapping back at a reporter, right? I don't have a problem with it if the reporter seems to be out of line. I have no problem with that at all. I'll clap back at anybody that's out of line with me. I'm gonna clap back, right? Where I thought it went too far was the ESPYs when they. I don't mean to laugh. When they brought the kids up,
it was hilarious.
Because listen,
it was hilarious.
In the streets back in the day, you got somebody that's shooting a bunch of bricks. Like, yo, you go and build a house with all them bricks, right? But they brought the kids out, like they decided that we're going to do a whole scene because of this man not being able to knock down free throws, and brought kids on it. To my thanks, Ben Simmons, and they said it was an orphanage for. I thought that was wrong. And maybe it's because I'm a Sixers fan. Like if it had been somebody from Boston, maybe I'd have laughed. You know what I mean? I thought it was dead wrong to do that. And don't you bring up that video because I'm not putting it up. I see you searching vigorously. I'm not putting up that video. I'm not doing it.
It was pure comedic gold, especially because it was from Captain America.
If it had been a comedian that did it, I might have accepted it a little more.
Well, you can argue he's a comedic actor. He's done comedic acting,
but he's not a comedian. It's like I tell kids that play baseball for us. You might hit a home run. That doesn't make you a home run hitter. Dwight Howard hit a few 3-point shots when he played for the Sixers last year. He's not a 3-point shooter.
So is Embiid a 3-point shooter or the 3-point attempts he makes?
No.
Thank you. No,
he's not. He's not. A 3-point shooter is a guy like Steph Curry, right, JJ Redick, guys that knock down at a consistent clip.
Ben Simmons when he takes the shot.
Ben Simmons might knock down a 3-pointer every now and then when he takes it, and we've seen him do it.
See, but even that, like, remember when he hit he hit a 3 like last year and he got a standing ovation, and it almost looked like he got mad and didn't take another attempt for like 3 months. It was like he was pissed off that he got that reaction. That's the problem.
He was probably embarrassed, to be honest with you. That's kind of embarrassing.
It is, but it's like, but
he's got to understand what Philly is.
You've been here for
what Philly is.
You've been here 6 years. You don't get it yet?
No, he don't get it. He doesn't. I mean, I'm not defending him. He doesn't get it. He does not get the city yet. Joel Embiid gets the city. Mm-hmm. Allen Iverson got the city. Yeah. What's my man's name? Nick Foles understood the city. Brian Dawkins understood the city.
Right. Bryce Harper understands the city.
Bryce Harper, for all intents and purposes, understands the city. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. Right, they understood the city. Ben does not understand the city, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he came up, he came up in basketball. He came up as the heir apparent to LeBron. Right. I mean, he's been saying he's going to be the next LeBron since he was in high school, and maybe that's got to he got it. He got a documentary. Were you about to say that? He's got a documentary that I didn't even see it. So
I saw it for about 10 minutes, and I think there was a segment where him and his sister were texting each other, and they were in the same house. I'm like, I can't do this. This is dumb. This is and I think there was also a segment where he was because he played for LSU, right?
Yes.
So I think they
did not make the tournament.
And did not make the tournament, but they were going through a segment where like. They were talking about his grades, and he was like, I'm going to the NBA. Like, I don't care about school. You know what I mean? So right off the bat, it was like, there's only to me, that's like, all right, he's only going to do the minimum. You know what I mean? He's only going to do what is absolutely has to be done, but nothing more. You dig what I'm saying? Absolutely nothing more.
He definitely seems like that type of person to me.
And can you stop posting on social media you shooting in your?
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Like I don't need to see you practice shooting with your brother or your cousin or whoever
nothing.
It is.
We fell for that 2 years in a row.
That's like, come on,
really? We fell for it 2 years in a row. I don't want to say. But to go back to why I even brought him up,
make me mad.
His mental health has got to be on the line right now too. Because I'm sure he hears the comments. Somebody's telling him the comments, or they're trying to hide the comments from him. He's a gamer and streams on gaming platforms on social media. So I'm sure those people probably say something to him. Maybe, I don't know. It's just, I worry about his mental health as well. Now he's probably going to leave Philly. Or he's at least going to get traded or something like that. Probably going to go to somewhere, and like almost every other Philly athlete that leaves Philadelphia, he's probably going to flourish.
He'll be fine as long as he doesn't go to New York or Boston or LA. There's probably no room for him, but he may even be fine in LA.
LA, you talking about the Lakers? Where
Carmelo
and Russell Westbrook, and of course the LeBron and AD. Maybe they want him out in Maybe one of them out in the other LA team. I don't know. I think the Sixers start the season with him on the roster, though. Just putting that out there. But That's a mental, that's the mental health discussion. We'll discuss it more, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. We discussed it last week. It's a hot topic right now. I mentioned Noah Lyles earlier, the sprinter, the U.S. sprinter that's over in Japan right now. I don't know if the race has been replayed, so I'm not going to put the results out there. I actually ruined it for myself because I haven't seen it, but I read an article. But upon finishing the race, he broke down crying. And let the world know. He actually, said on Twitter and all like that beforehand that, he takes antidepressants, but he did that because he wanted people to know that it's okay to have these issues and to seek the help and to seek the assistance that you may need. Because it's, especially in our community, it's almost taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it. Right. For years. I mean, nobody wants to talk about these things. And these are things that need to be talked about. We need to speak about them because, it's something that tears you up from the inside and you don't even know it.
Yep.
You don't even know it, and there's ways to get help. And, people shouldn't be embarrassed by it. I hope that people, realize that there's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's something that can be helped if you want to find the help. And that's all I'm really going to say about that for right now. Did you have any more that you wanted to say about it, Miguel?
No, I mean, I was, just agreeing with you. And I think, again, if this were 10 years ago, the stigma was just so against, mental health. If you have mental health issues, it was always, if you had mental health issues, you belong in an institution, or you need to be medicated, you need to be put away. But, there are ways to get help. I mean, just to be transparent, I have a therapist, you know what I mean? So, and I've been with my therapist for now, 4 or 5 years because, there was some trauma, that I had to deal with. From my childhood and some things that, went unresolved in my mind, but sometimes it just helped just talking it out. And now it's like, I feel so much better. And, thankfully I didn't need, medication where it was thought I may have needed it, in the beginning. And some of it was just, kind of talking it out and, kind of hearing what I'm saying and hearing it back. So it's,
Absolutely. I mean, wow. Thanks for being transparent here on the Check Swing podcast. I mean, for people that are watching, it like I said, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's
nothing at all.
It's necessary for many people, and it's necessary for many people that may not realize it is necessary for people that are hiding it or hiding from it. So yeah, I mean, reach out to me if you have to, and help. Maybe I can help you find the help. Reach out to Miguel. Hit us up on the text line 215-486-0335. That's 215-486-0335. And while I'm putting it out there, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That seems so cheap, didn't it? It seems so cheap. I felt so dirty saying
it's better than you ever listen to an Eagles game and from the radio and it's like that sack was brought to you by Joe's Crab Shack. You know what I mean?
That crunch was brought to you by Hers Chips.
It's like, what an incredible play brought to you by the Tootsie Roll. It's like, what are you? Yeah. Everything is paid for.
Yeah. I mean, we need to get some stuff paid for on this show. I'll tell you that.
I'm telling you.
That's brought to you by me. You can hit me up if you want to pay for something. Anyway, let's get to something a little more fun. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and I'll be honest with you. Since the Olympics are on, no other sports exist to me right now.
And it's tricky because, like, Phillies made some trades during the trade deadline, and that was kind of like the hot. What'd you say?
I heard about like one. I heard they picked up a pitcher that's an innings eater.
They picked up 3 pitchers, believe it or not. And
wow,
one of them,
really? See, there you go. I have no idea.
And people that are reporting back, like the reporters in Philadelphia, like they were kind of like, we kind of fleeced, the Texas Rangers. So Spencer Howard, who for baseball people that know baseball, flamethrower usually can give you 99 miles an hour for 2 innings, and then all of a sudden he just fizzles. I think one time he actually blamed
running the first base
and
from the pitcher's mound.
From the pitcher's mound, which is what, 40,
60 feet,
60 feet,
something like that, 60 feet.
I mean, to his credit, I was winded when we were out golfing earlier, and I had to go up a hill like 20
But you are not a professional athlete. And I was winded too going up there. Thank God we had to wait on the people in front of us.
Oh my goodness, this hill's gonna hurt for like 3 weeks. But so he was traded to the Texas Rangers for Kyle Gibson, who's an innings eater, like you said. Ian Kennedy, who was like 39, and I didn't even know was a closer until like we traded for him. And there's this rookie pitcher. Ian Kennedy, yeah. Who
he's 39 now?
I'm sorry, he's like 37.
I forget
to me it's the same thing.
I get older too.
To me, it's the same thing. But there's also this other young pitcher who they said was kind of like the stud in the deal, who actually could wind up being better than Spencer Howard. I think his name was like House Cross. I'm like, is that German or Swedish? But so everybody's reporting like, even though Kyle Gibson, he's like 33, again, he's an innings eater, and he pitched on Sunday, and I think he only gave like 1 or 2 runs in 7 innings, and so it looks like a really good deal, at least to start. So since then, we've won 3 in a row, and based on Didi Gregorius just hitting an upper deck home run, giving the Phillies an 8-3 lead, we might be on our way to 4 in a row.
Nice. As long as you don't have to turn over the bullpen, we might win games.
That's it. And it's all leading up to a showdown to the weekend series with the Mets, which now the Mets we are 1.5 games behind the Mets for first place in the East.
Right.
So, it's been pretty exciting, minus the Olympics, of course, kind of getting in the way.
Listen, I'm watching them right now as we're doing the show. This boy from Kenya is rolling right now. And they go 1-2. Okay.
I love the altered play-by-play.
I'm an Olympics junkie. I'm just put it to. Oh Lord, I didn't kick the table. I'm an Olympics junkie. So the NL East is pretty close. Like I said, I don't know what's going on right now because of the Olympics. I don't watch anything else. It's kind of like when the NCAA tournament is going on. I don't even watch the NBA really because the NCAA tournament is just exciting to me. Can the Phillies do it, Miguel? I mean, I got to ask you because I got to be honest with you. I stopped believing in this team a couple weeks ago.
Well, and you know what? Like, every Philly team does this to us. Like, the kind of Eagles have done it for years. Oh, man, we win 4 in a row, and then we'll lose like a clunker to like Miami. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Phillies will do this. Although it seems a bit different this time. Like this 4 in a row, like it seems like, all the pieces are kind of falling together. Players that were injured are coming back, and I think the one thing that could kill us in the stretch run is another influx of injuries, because I think there was a stretch where like Segura was out with a hammy, Harper was out for that I think we lost like 5 in a row, and like 8 out of 10, stuff like that. But I think this is a team that, like, for it to be successful, for them to be successful, to get to the to finish out the East, they have to stay healthy. If they get one more injury, that could be the dagger. You know what I mean? Because I don't see, just like with the trade deadline, like they don't have any chips to get anybody. I mean, we're grateful to get what they got, but
you mean like our farm system? Our farm system sucks.
I mean, there's some players that I've been kind of monitoring. There's like this one young guy, Jalen Ortiz, who's finally starting to put it together. He's a power hitter who can hit, and can field. Well, we have a switch hitting shortstop. We actually have a couple of shortstops. Phillies draft the most pitchers and shortstops I've ever seen any team do. That's all they ever draft is pitchers and shortstops. And the pitcher and the shortstops that don't become shortstops, they make into catchers. Because like Carlos Ruiz, like Chooch, he started as he was drafted as a second baseman, 16 years old out of Venezuela.
Right.
And he wound up being one of the best catchers in Phillies history. So, I think what's hurt them too is, you hear the story about people that have left the Phillies, speaking of people doing better when they leave, it seems to be happening more with the Phillies, like Nick Pivetta, I think at one point was like 6-0 with the Red Sox. Carlos Santana, he was only here for 1 year, had a horrible year. Then he went back to Cleveland and then tore back up. So it's I
forgot we had him. Yeah.
And I loved him, but I was like, he's playing left field. Like what? He's playing third base, which he hasn't played since like high school. And again, that goes back to like, that over the top analytics. You know what I mean? Again, analytics, and I don't want to bash it because I believe that it has a time and a space and a place, but I just think there's just too much data. I think that's what was killing Rhys Hoskins, when he had the poor season last year. He just seemed off. That's what killed Scott Kingery. They gave him, a contract and $5 million a year, and he was supposed to be the next, second baseman. Then they said no, he's going to be a super utility guy, and now he can't. I think his first time when he got sent down for a week, he struck out 10 times in a week. It's like they messed his swing up so bad because they were like launch angle. You need to lift. It's like he was doing fine, doing whatever it was that he was doing that, got him to this point. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, the over analytics comes in, and it can ruin and damage careers.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the worst things that happens to a professional baseball player is they try to change your swing, because your swing got you to where it is, and now sometimes pitchers figure you out and they're able to get you out, and then you have to make some tweaks. But when you like, there's some in some situations they try to change the entire swing and the entire approach and all like that, and baseball, just any sport, baseball, you're a creature of habit. Yeah. And if you see something coming a certain way, you want to attack it a certain way, and your instinct is to attack it a certain way. And when you change a swing in baseball, for people that may not know, you're changing a lot. You're not just changing a swing. You're changing a mentality. You're changing the way you attack things. You're changing a reaction. You're changing a lot. And that's why a lot of times guys do not take well to changing other swings. Let's take Tiger Woods, for example. Okay, not baseball, but it's golf. Mm-hmm. Somewhat similar swing, but as you found out today, not a whole lot. The same is similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah, my back and my hips completely disagree.
So, when Tiger was on top of his game, his swing was, it was what it was. Then, he got a different coach, and these coaches want to change his swing and stuff like that.
Had some dating issues.
Yeah, well, we ain't gonna go into that. Right? We talked about that last week, I think, but a couple weeks ago. But you can check out any episode from the Check Swing Podcast over on the New Source Radio YouTube channel, just so you know. Just a
brought to you by Tootsie Roll.
Nuh-uh. They ain't gave me no money. But what was I saying? But yeah, when they changed Tiger's swing, that's when Tiger started to fall off. Right? Even before the whole relationship thing. That's when Tiger started to fall off. They were changing the swing, and he had to adjust his game. Yeah. So, I don't even know how we got on that topic, but that, that's just, one of the things that baseball players have to deal with. Not so much the same, a lot of times they don't, in the NBA, they don't try to change your shot. Right? I can remember a basketball player by the name of Sean Marion. He probably had one of the ugliest jump shots I've ever seen, but it worked for him. It worked for him. So I believe when he first came in the league, they tried to change it, and then that kind of went out the window. Lonzo Ball has an ugly jump shot, and that one they actually did change a little bit. He kind of improved his jump shot. They changed that a little, but it was ugly. I mean, people shoot like this. he was bringing it over here. Something weird. But go ahead. You were about to say something.
No, but I mean, just to kind of piggyback, like one of our pitchers, you know, he had a really weird, awkward kind of, motion to the play,
yeah.
right? So it's like
Mhm.
he stopped and kind of come over the top. It almost looked like he was singing. It looked painful. It
It
looks
did.
painful. You know what I mean?
Mhm. But it worked for him.
He was 4-0. He had what, a 1.09 ERA. Like he was the dude was a beast. He was clutch.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, what am I gonna do? Say like, all right, I need you to throw like a pitch. I need you to throw like a real pitcher. I need you to change all that, and because it doesn't look right, it looks like it hurts. Da 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 da. I'm like, why would I do that?
Right. It works.
It works.
It works.
Absolutely.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what they say.
You know what really hurts right now, though? The fact that I'm looking at the standings, right? And National League West, the San Francisco Giants are in first place.
I know. Gabe Kapler being
Gabe Kapler, baby.
I know.
Gabe Kapler proving everybody wrong. And he has 0 ejections.
Yeah, I ain't worried about Gabe too much. I wasn't a fan of Gabe, but more power to him. He's not gonna. They're not gonna come out of the West on top with the Dodgers and the Padres. They're playing. The Giants are playing good ball. So
I was just surprised looking at like how far back the Padres are. They're 6.5 back of the Giants for first place, and I think they're like 3 back of the wild card. Oh no, they're. What is that? They're about a game and a half back from the wild card. So it's really close. It's really close. But
I totally expect the Padres to make a run. I really do. But we'll see. I mean, it's a little funny with the Padres. But anyway, I'm not even going. I ain't worried about them. I'm a Phillies fan. So, I think it's time for my quiz.
For your quiz, huh?
Yeah, I think it's time for the quiz.
You ready for the quiz?
And for those that don't know, Miguel puts together a whole situation in which I must guess who the player is. It's a baseball player. Then he tells me how many teams he played for, what jersey number he wore for those teams, and sometimes what position he played. So right now I'm going to add that to the screen if I can. There we go. Rookie of the Year, 6-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, and 2 batting titles.
All right, and he played in MLB for 14 years. He played for Boston, the Red Sox, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs, and the Oakland Athletics. Now here's I don't know if this will help, but the year that he was traded was the year his team won the World Series.
You mean like the year that the team he was traded from?
Yes. So the year that the team that he was traded from, that team that he left or was traded from.
Can you give me a an era, like a his career span from win to win?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000. Okay, give me the teams again. The Boston
Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, Oakland Athletics.
So only 4 teams.
Yes.
Brooklyn Dodgers. I'm sorry, LA Dodgers, Boston Red Sox, the Cubs, and the A's. So he played in the early 2000s, and the team he got traded from won the World Series. So Boston won in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers did not. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll eliminate them. The A's did not.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other team?
The Chicago Cubs.
The Cubs didn't win it till 2014. What year was that? 2014, 2013? 2016? I was going to say 2017. So it has to be somebody that was traded from the Red Sox, right?
That would be correct, sir.
But the Red Sox won like 3.
I Not consecutive, but yeah, they won. They won about three.
And I know Johnny Damon did he get traded to the Yankees? No, you didn't say he played for the Yankees, so that doesn't matter.
Hold on, I actually may be incorrect, but
is it Johnny Damon?
No.
Okay. Dang.
I meant as far as the year. I mean, when this guy left his team eventually. So all right, we
tell me what position he played.
You're gonna get it.
So,
this gentleman was an infielder.
There's a lot of positions in the infield.
Oh,
third base, shortstop,
five
base.
to be exact. 6 technically if you want to count the pitcher.
Yeah, I do. So I'm going to assume it's not a pitcher because last week there was a Silver Slugger award and he was a pitcher. So
I thought I was going to get you with that, but I think what killed it was the fact that he had the same number for all 25 teams he played for.
Well, I didn't get it till you told me that his brother. He had a brother that played too. That's when I got.
No, you guessed that. You asked, that was a question that you had asked, and I confirmed it. So you already kind of knew it.
Man, he played in the infield for all those teams, for the A's, the Sox, the Dodgers, and the Cubs. Man, you got me on this one. And he was a rookie of the year.
Yep.
Who was he a rookie with?
What do you mean with?
Nomar Garciaparra.
See, you got it.
Yes.
Nomar Garciaparra.
Yes. Nomar.
So 2004, when the Red Sox won the World Series, he was traded to the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, and I forgot he played for the Cubs, but I didn't know he played for the A's.
Yeah, but the A's was like the last team in like 2008 when he retired. Or 2009, something like that. But awesome. Yeah. So every time that happens, I always think of Sterling Sharp. Remember, he was injured, and then when he retired, they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl after he retired.
And Shannon gave him a Super Bowl ring. I think once he got 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, what are we looking at here, or should I take that down?
No, that's just I was looking at the standings. Although, so this weekend, I think I mentioned, the Phillies are playing the Mets, and this weekend's kind of special, I guess, in Phillies history because on Friday night they're honoring Dave Montgomery, who was I guess you say partial owner when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008. On Saturday night, they're actually going to induct into the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to share this. They're going to induct into the Phillies Wall of Fame the greatest second baseman, defensively anyway, in Phillies history. And I always love to watch. I always love to watch like this great, relay throw. It's from the playoffs, the year the Phillies won the World Series. But he was a Gold Glover, played 5 years for the Phillies. Steady hitter, vital to the infield, because that infield was pretty good because you had Pete Rose, you had Mike Schmidt at third, Larry Bowa at short. So they're honoring him on Saturday night, and then on Sunday they're retiring Roy Halladay's number. So it's a pretty big weekend in Phillies history.
So Roy Halladay deserves all the accolades that he gets. He was a phenomenal pitcher.
Yes.
He only spent a handful of years with the Phillies. And I,
it was because actually technically Cliff Lee was here for 6 years. So usually the magic number is like 5.
Technically, he was here for 6 years. He wasn't on the field for 6 years, but he was under contract here for 6 years.
So that's always a good argument. Like how. So like Manny Trio, for instance, he was only here 79, 80, 81. He was only here actually for 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Rose,
but he won a World.
He won a World Series. P. Rose was here for only 5 years. Won a World Series. Actually went to 2 World Series. So there were certain players that were like great for certain cities, but only had such a short amount of time. Like Jason Worth. Jason Worth was actually only here for like 3 or 4 years before he went to DC.
Right.
So like, what's the cutoff? And it seems like 5 years used to be the cutoff. Now it's like slowly moving to 4. Because I was like, Manny Trio was great, but like Chase Utley was here for like 12 years. He was not the greatest defensive second baseman, but obviously the greatest offensive second baseman that we had in the history of the Phillies.
Yeah, it's a I don't want to say it's a slippery slope, but it's just one of them type things where it's like he was great while he was here. He was great in Toronto.
I'd say he had his greatest success in Philadelphia. Because he finally made it. He didn't make it to any playoff games in Toronto because their teams just weren't good enough.
A lot of that was due to the Phillies were better than Toronto at the time. Toronto was terrible,
right?
While he was there, and that that's not his fault. They just were a terrible team,
right.
And the Phillies were good. The Phillies were a contender at the time. Like I said, he deserves all the accolades he gets. I just like it's like the thing where if LeBron decides to retire after next season. Like how much accolades he won a championship though with the Lakers. How much accolades does he get? Does he have? Is he a Laker? Like Kobe's a Laker, Shaq's a Laker. Right. Kareem's a Laker. Right. Magic's a Laker.
See, because he's a Laker, I think he would have to do. That would have to be a longevity thing. He would have to be there for like the next 10 years.
But I guarantee you, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be LeBron, a Laker great. Mm-hmm. I just guarantee that's how it's going to be. Like, and he doesn't have but some. I don't know how many years he has left, but we all know that he's probably closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning, and he played for 3 other teams.
Well, he'll probably wind up getting his number retired by multiple teams because, like Reggie Jackson,
he's definitely getting it retired in Cleveland. He'll probably get it retired in Miami.
Miami, right? Yeah. So
LA, they'll probably do it just because it's LeBron.
Yeah, it kind of even like with the Phillies Wall of Fame, like there's a lot. Now it's like, I think Mickey Morandini was in there. I'm like, Mickey Morandini. I'm like, he was.
Yeah, I know somebody used to call him Wiki Morandini.
He was
consistently, but I'm not even gonna go there. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. You got any last words before we go?
Played golf today. First time on an actual course. Thank you, Mr. Justin. It's relaxing. Believe it or not, with all the walking, it actually helped with my mental health. Yeah. But just kind of like, since the topic was mental health, seek help if you need it. If you just need to talk, tell somebody you just need to talk, and make sure you, just take care of yourself, mentally and, find
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm sure you're going to get out and play again. Just wait till you get out on a real nice course, just to see how relaxing that is when you get out on a real nice course and it's quiet all around you.
And the green to the hole doesn't have like rocks and cement and
yeah. But then you're going to miss because those greens aren't flat. You right. Greens. And you're going to know what? I was great at Clayton.
I was great at putt. Golf Galaxy. I got a great inside game.
Exactly. Well, we want to thank you for checking out the Check Swing podcast once again. For Miguel and myself, we will check you out next week. And of course, if you missed any part of this show or any other show that airs on New Twist Radio, you can go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/New Twist Radio. Subscribe to it, and you can check out any show that has aired here on New Twist Radio. That's the Check Swing podcast. That is 10/7 show that airs at 7 p.m. on Sundays. Let's Not Argue and anything else that's out there. And you can check out the Real God's Weekend suggestions. All right. So with all that being said, it's time for us to roll up out of here. Appreciate y'all for hanging with us. We're going to get out of here. We love y'all. Peace.